did, I know. So, well, my name's Paul, and I'm with Emily Telephone and Cross Lake Communications. I've known a lot of you for many years, so nice to be here. Today we're going to talk about backing up your PC. So I kind of want to start it with talking about the things you back up to. How many of you got a computer here? Come on, really? Okay. In the younger crowd, they don't have computers anymore. They have iPads, and it's all backed up to the cloud. And that's cool, but, when you think about that, how many of you have read of at least one very large corporation hired and trusted to manage your data and information that's been hacked? I mean, this happened once or twice, right? I mean, this week, right? So, and it's only Tuesday. So that's the thing about the cloud. The cloud is great. I mean, the cloud, is a funny, fancy term, but I consider myself partly cloudy. Okay? I don't put everything in the cloud, and there's a reason for that. There's a bunch of them. One, I don't trust anybody, it's just the way it is. But how do you know nobody else can look at it? Really. So if you have anything private, really, really secure, like, something with your social security number, your credit cards and things, don't be putting that in Dropbox. Okay? Anybody know what Dropbox is? Nope. That's a whole other class. We need to have that. Yeah. Dropbox is a way that you can save a file. Like, let's say you typed up a Word document. You just typed up a letter and you hit save. Well, that's stored in here, inside your computer. Okay? If your computer died, got run over by a bus or somebody stole it, your document's gone, isn't it? It's gone. Well, hopefully, you're going to listen to me about backing up your computer through this class, but Dropbox is some free software that you can put on your computer, and if you save that same document in the Dropbox folder, it gets a copy pushed up to the Dropbox system in the sky. So that, first off, that makes a backup of it. So it should never have any private or personal information in it. Okay? But if you lost your computer, or if it got ran over by a bus and somebody stole it and all these things, and you went and bought a brand new computer, turned it on and put Dropbox on it, all the files that you put in Dropbox would magically come trickling down from the sky. And in a couple of minutes, all your documents would be back. So it's very, very nice. But you only get a small amount of storage, so you can only put maybe 50 pictures on there. So it's not like you can put Machu Picchu pictures or anything on there, anything cool like that. You could, but it's really more for quick and dirty temporary storage. Okay? So that's one method of backing up your PC.
How secure is Dropbox?
Very.
Has their own separate Dropbox.
Everybody should have their own separate. Like in a family, if you want one, your wife wants one. But between the two of you, then you can say, well, I got this file and I want to share it with my wife. Well, then the two of you have that file. But you still both have your own accounts. Does that make sense? So that's a real good way. Dropbox, the question was, how secure is Dropbox? Really secure. I'm going to look at CNN right now and see if they've been hacked today, but I don't think so. It's as secure as anything else online. It's very secure, but you should still not put anything that has all of your personal information up in the cloud. You should not do that. Okay?
How do you get it?
How do you get Dropbox? That's a really good question. You go to www.dropbox.com. Okay? Yeah. A lot of new computers come with it installed, but you still got to go to their site and create an account. And it just means you put in your email address, create a password, and then you have Dropbox. So it's pretty easy to use. Yeah.
Is it Microsoft only, or?
No. In fact, Apple has a version of it, and there's other things for Apple too. There's, oh my goodness, there's so many things out there like that. Dropbox is only one of them. There's tons of them. Cloud storage. In fact, iCloud on the Mac, you can get some extra storage with that too. So it's pretty simple on a Mac. It's very easy in Windows too. It's Dropbox. All the new Windows computers come with the same thing. It's called OneDrive. It's the same thing. You log into your computer and you put in your Microsoft email address, and that's it. Just the same as Dropbox, the same as iCloud. Everybody, their brother and their dog has one of those now. So one of the things is, how much do you use your PC? I mean, I still use my laptop for everything. I don't use an iPad. A lot of people have gone to, they just use a phone, but this thing is still my right arm for everything I do. I mean, I have all my picture editing stuff, all my important stuff I can do on my computer. Is everybody else still similar like that in here? Okay, yeah. A lot of the, like I said, the younger folks, they just use an iPad now and they could care less about backing it up. That's how it is. So what do we consider like precious? I mean, to me, my pictures. You got a lot of pictures on your computer? Yeah, I got pictures from, check this out. The old 35 millimeter slides?
Oh my.
Yeah, anybody old enough? Yeah, you got some of those, don't you? Yeah. I went and bought a thing and put them in there, and I digitized them all, so I got them all on my computer. So, I don't recommend that to anybody. Put them in a bag and send them to a company. Let them do it. You'll get a bag back. It's way better. It's a lot less work. So, but in any case, your address book. How many of you have, hundreds of email addresses over the years that you wouldn't like to lose, and emails? If you have an email program and you lost all your emails, man, where's that one I sent to the guy from last year? I need that, had information. If you lose that, that's a problem. So a lot of people have different software packages on their computer. On an Apple, it's called Time Machine. Anybody familiar with that with an Apple? Okay, Time Machine's great. It's fantastic. It does a really good job of backing your whole thing up. So I recommend Time Machine to anybody who has an Apple. Doesn't mean you can't use Dropbox or the iCloud or something else. That's like extra, even better. So I've been doing this a long time. A lot of you have known me for 15 years doing this. I have seen hard drives. Anybody know what a hard drive is? You heard the term, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. They call them a hard drive because they're a thing. They're a physical thing. And they sit inside every computer. And it's nothing more than a big tape recorder. That's all it is. Big magnetic recording thing. It's in a Mac. It's in every PC. It's in every computer on the planet. There's some type of storage device. When you hit the power button and turn your computer on, that thing in there starts to spin up. You know that sound, right? You've heard it. Crunch, 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 and it does the lights. And that thing loads everything into memory, and now you have Windows running, or you have your Apple operating system running. But it all starts, everything is on that hard drive. Every picture you've taken, everything. So if that hard drive goes bad, you lose everything. So the reason I'm saying that is because, so I back everything up. I back all my pictures up. But my computer hard drive goes bad, and I need to go out and buy a brand new one. I go buy a new one, I plug it into my computer, turn it on, and what happens? Nothing. It's empty. So now you got to find a copy of Windows somewhere. How are you going to do that? Or maybe your original Mac CD, you got to find that. Wow. Okay, and then you got to, where's your Microsoft Office disk? Who's got the CD? Come on, I still got one. Come on, really? Who's got that? Where's the number for it? All these things. You have to install all your stuff. The reason I say that is because when you back things up, if I took all my pictures and backed them up to the cloud or wherever, I didn't back up my whole computer. And that's an important difference, and we're going to talk about that as we get going through there, the difference between backing up and your whole computer. Okay? So, how often do you back up? I get this question all the time. How often do you back up? Most of the time I hear is never. Okay, bad. But what happens is it's different for everybody. For me, I back up every night because for what I do, I'm typing 100 different letters and this and that and the other thing. And it would really be a bummer to lose. It wouldn't kill me, but why wouldn't I just run my backup in the middle of the night when I'm not at work? At home, I back up once a week because I don't really type that much letters and things at home. But once a week, I do a quick backup, and then once a month, I do what's called a full backup, which we'll go through. Backs up my whole computer. Okay? So once a month for the full backup, once a week. But for some people, it's more often, depending on what you do. We're going to talk about some free programs that will do all of the things that we're going to talk about. What would you do if you had your computer hard drive, if you pushed the power button and it didn't do anything but blink at you? Call me. That's step one. Give me a buzz. Yep. We'll fix her. But if I mean, that's a bad day. And you know, when I was young, sadly, that's a lot longer. I got to think farther back. Everything seems to think about when I was young. You know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know, when I was young and I first got into this, hard drives never went bad. They didn't ever go bad. But 20 years ago, how much did it cost you to buy a computer? It cost you $2,000. Now you can go to Best Buy and walk out the door with two of them for $300. You know, it's just the price of everything has come down, and the cost has come down, and the quality has gone down. It's just the way it is. I see bad hard drives. I wouldn't say every week, but every month. I mean, I am not exaggerating. Every month there's either one of mine and one of the machines go bad, or I hear of a customer that's got a hard drive that's not working right, and we need to get some stuff off it for them. Happens, I wouldn't say all the time, but I mean often enough to where it's a serious concern. And it's because the hard drive that used to cost me $500 now costs me $50. So it's going to happen. You're going to have a hard drive problem sometime. And everything's on your hard drive. All your pictures, everything.
Question.
Yeah.
Does that include solid state drives?
That's a really good question. The question was, does that include solid state drives? Does anybody know what a solid state drive is? Okay. Well, this is a hard drive. I was going to show it to you in a minute anyways. Inside here, it's a black plastic thingy. That's all this is with a cable plug on it. But inside it is a hard drive that would be normally in a laptop. It's a hard drive. And if you took them apart, sorry I don't have a picture, but if you took it apart, it's this little rectangle thing, and it's about maybe a 1/4 inch thick. I mean, it's just little. There's nothing to them. And they got little tiny round thingies in them, magnetic discs. And there's usually 4 of them stacked on top, and they spin at ridiculous speed. They're running around in circles really fast, and it's just nothing more than a fast tape recorder. There's a thingy that goes in and reads and writes to them, and they're spinning really fast. And that's what a hard drive is. What a solid state drive is it takes all of that stuff away. You wouldn't know the difference if you looked at it. If I handed you a hard drive and a solid state drive, you wouldn't know which was which. They look exactly the same. But in a solid state drive, they simulate all the moving parts with memory chips. So what happens is they're really fast. They're also quite a bit more expensive. A $50 hard drive would be $200 to get a solid state drive. They're coming down a lot better today than they were even last year. But they'll survive a shock better. There's no moving parts. But they have a limit to the lifetime on them also. So if you have a solid state drive and you've got it for 5 years and it's heavily used, it's going to have troubles. They actually build extra in them. If you buy a 200 gig hard drive and a 200 gig solid state drive, your solid state drive is about 300 gig because they know it's going to have bad areas in it. And so it moves things around. A solid state drive, I would go with absolutely over an ordinary drive today. Absolutely. They are more reliable. But doesn't mean you can't buy one and it couldn't fall apart the next day. So does that answer your question about the reliability? Yeah. Same thing. If your solid state drive goes bad, you lose everything. It's faster to restore it though. So, okay. Programs. Microsoft Office. Who's got like a picture program, or anybody got like photo software? Okay, that's a program. If you lose your hard drive or you drop your computer and you got to get a new one, that stuff's all gone. That's what this backups utilities will allow you to keep. So it's not just your pictures, it's your software. So what I think of is a 2-tier approach to backing up. I back up in a quick backup, which kind of takes all my documents, my pictures, and any of the new ones get copied over to my backup thingy. And then once a month I run a full backup, which takes the whole computer and backs the whole thing up. Okay? So now is the time when I talk about these. Everybody's seen one of these, right? Little USB hard drive or a thumb drive, right? I think they're issued at birth now, right? With a cell phone, right? You know, here's your kid and here's your phone, you know, and here's a stick for him to use for life. These are not backup devices. Let me say that again. These are not backup devices. These are not meant to be permanent storage. You can't write to them. You can't write to the same spot twice. So they have a little thing inside them that as you're storing it, they keep moving it around. And this, I think this is a 16 gigabytes. Anybody know what a gigabyte is? You buy like 8 gigabytes, 16, 40, or, you know. This 16 actually has probably double that. in storage. Because inside it, when you're storing a file, it can't use those same exact spots again. It has to move around. These are not meant to be back. These are temporary storage. Put your stuff on here, take it to your buddy's house, give it to him, take it back home. But don't use these as permanent storage. Same thing with, anybody remember a DVD? One, right? Go round things, you stick them in. Those are not permanent either. Some people used to back up their important stuff. They'd burn a DVD. That is not a good idea. They're done with dye. They're a clear plastic with some dye in them. And as time goes by, that dye shrinks, evaporates. Well, that changes how the light reflects, and all of a sudden your data is gone. So DVDs, CDs, I'm pretty old dating myself here, right? And these little USB sticks are awesome, but they are not permanent storage. So what are you to do? Well, you could use the cloud. You could. I don't recommend it. Be partly cloudy. Do that. But these things are the very, very best thing for backup. Have you seen one of these? It's a USB hard drive. So everybody know what USB is? It's this little rectangle pluggy thing. See that? Every computer, wow, in the last 20 years has been built with one of these ports on the side of it. It's a universal serial bus. It's just a plug that every computer on the planet has. And on the other end of it is some kind of device. This is a hard drive. So if I plug this into my computer, I'll magically have another hard drive. Just like, have any of you used one of these? There's nothing wrong with these. It's just they're not good permanent storage. If you plug this into the side of your computer, you'll see a G drive or an E drive. Are you familiar with that? It puts a letter on this. It says this is the G. It might be the F. It's different for every computer. But it's going to have a letter. No different with this. If I plug this in, I'll have a G drive, maybe an I drive or something, but it'll have a letter. But this is a real hard drive inside here. That means it's built with the same spec as a computer hard drive, because it is one. So it's really gonna, it's gonna last forever unless I drop it or something silly. It's really gonna pretty much last forever. Yes.
Can you write over that though?
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are magnetic, and so they'll just erase it and rewrite it. They're made to do that bazillions of, that's a real number. It's a real number. Bazillions of times.
How about the thumb drives? Can you write over those?
That's a really good question. Can you write over these? You can't. It looks like it, but you can't. So they give you extra in there. So if you were using this 1,000 times a day, it's writing everything to it and filling it up all the time, it wouldn't last. It's not meant to.
Okay, but I use Quicken.
Yeah.
And I back up Quicken on that.
Yep.
But if that just keeps going on and on and
Yep.
on. Can you delete the beginning part of it and then you've got the end?
Yes, because it does have extra stuff on it. So even if it was full, it's not really full. If you deleted a bunch of them and it couldn't use those little sectors, it's got extra that it can use it. But for anybody doing QuickBooks or Quicken or anything like that, get 2 of these. They're $8. Use one of them this week and one of them next week. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Just why take a chance for as cheap as these things are? Okay.
I'm sorry, what is write over? What do you mean by write over?
That's a good question. If I took this thingy and I plugged it into my computer and I copied, let's say 50 pictures over to it, it's going to use a certain amount of the material inside here. There's a certain amount of area in here. Well, if I delete those 50 files off of here, it can't write to those exact same little spots again. It has to use new spots.
So you're just losing storage.
You're losing storage. They always build in extra. Whatever you buy, it's got way more than that because it has to jump around and kind of, I don't know how you want to put it. It's got to use new areas all the time. So that's why these are just not a good idea. You can Google that and look it up, and it's a real thing. This happens. I've got lots of these that I'm using them. I use them like crazy on the bench copying stuff, and the next time I plug it in, it just won't work. So I can tell you that this is a real thing. Yeah.
So recycling those, you recycle them, or if somebody got that then and they plugged it in?
Man, this is a good
whatever
question.
That's on there, so.
You know what? We're going to deviate. Backup. Who cares about backup? Ah! Here's a really good question. The question was, if you toss this in the garbage and some deviant, think me, okay, grabbed it, I would literally scare you with what I could recover off of this. Literally. If you formatted this, if you put this in your Apple and erased it, I can get everything back. Everything. Yeah, it would really scare you. But it's really nice because a lot of people have brought in cameras. Then they got the little chip inside the camera. It's got a type of chip. It just happened a couple weeks ago. Poor lady, somebody had done something and erased all her pictures, and she had never copied them to her computer or anything. She was gone. Everything. She lost it all. So she brought me that chip, and I used this scary software. I make it sound really cool. I'm not really that smart. It just works pretty good. But anyways, I plug the chip in and I tell it to do its thing. And hey, shortly after that, I had several hundred pictures back. Completely deleted, completely erased, but still there. So that's a really good question. If you got one of these, stomp on it before you throw it in the trash.
So
Okay?
just stomping
Stomp on it.
Just stomping it.
I mean, if someone's going to tear it apart, get the chip off and unsolder it, you know what? They already got your data anyways. You know. But yeah. Yep, hammer. Hammer's a good thing. So when you're having a bad day, keep a pile of these. Schmuck them all. Yeah, it's a bad day today. I'm going to go out and smack a few hard drives out back. Yes.
Another thing those little flash drives are good for is I put my pictures on there and then I go to the drugstore and
Yep.
print them out, just plug it in.
It's a great thing. How many of you still print pictures? Come on, say it. You can. Yeah, we still do. We still do. Yeah. She brings up a good point. These are awesome for like copying pictures off of my computer onto it, bringing them to Target is where we go and plug them in the machine, and we get our prints that way. It works really nice. So yeah, it's really good for that.
If
Yeah.
those are $8, how much is the USB hard drive?
Great question. Everybody hear that?
No.
Okay. So if these, you can get these. I just saw like 4 of these for $12. I mean, it's just crazy on these sales. This is about $50 for a USB hard drive. This is 2 terabytes. Yeah, I know. So here's the thing. They do everything in gigabytes. This stick right here, I think it's actually a 32 gigabytes. Okay? 1,000 gigabytes is 1 terabyte. So this is 2,000 gigabytes. That's a lot of these little sticks, isn't it? Yeah. So I got a calculator, 2,000 divided by 32. I don't know. It's new math. I don't know. But that's a lot. So these things are typically ridiculously big as compared to this. So when you go to the store to buy one of these, and the kid in the blue shirt wants to sell you the one with the, the special warranty and all of that, bless his heart, man, very few are ever going to need anything over 500 gigabytes. Very few. That's about the smallest you can buy today. Okay? I think they giggle at you if you get one of them and walk out the store. But a terabyte is a crazy amount. And a terabyte is only 1,000 gigabytes. So if you see a 500 gigabyte one on sale for $30, it's probably fine. If you see a terabyte one, which is 1,000 gigabyte for $40, well, it's a better deal. Okay, but do you need now there's 4 terabyte drives. Do you need that? No, I barely need that. So, okay, that's a good question. So, anybody remember where we were in this thing? Because I kind of got sidetracked here. Oh yeah, free software. Free software. Who doesn't like free software? So what I do is I use one program to do a quick backup, and then I use another program to do a full backup. Okay? And I don't expect that you guys are going to learn how to run these here in 1 hour, but I'm going to show them to you. And on an Apple, the one to use is Time Machine. If you're not using that, man, you need to start using it because it'll literally rebuild your Mac exactly as it is. It's great. Okay? So we're going to start with this. This is a USB hard drive that you can buy from $30 to $100, depending on what you get, how many. You can actually get these in solid state now. They look just like this, but they're solid state. Why would you do that? It's faster. Won't be as big. A 500 gig solid state will be about $100. A 500 gig regular hard drive will be 30. So, it kind of depends on what you want. You're probably going to use this and put it in the safe anyways, so the extra speed, I don't know. Then the only other thing to look at is USB blue. Can you see in there? See that's blue inside? The little color of that plug is blue. Yeah. You guys see that over there? You see that blue? No? There, it's blue. Yeah. What you're looking for is USB 3.0. Now, there are some now called 3.1 and something else, but 3 something. The reason is that makes a huge difference. If you've got a newer computer and it has a USB 3.0 port in it, most of them do, it is about 10 times faster. So when you're running a backup, it'll take 10 minutes instead of an hour and 10 minutes. It's a big deal. Yes.
3 times faster than a 2.0?
Than the 2.0. Yes, good point. I did not say 2.0. The other style of this is USB 2.0. So if you bought a USB 2.0 drive on sale, plugged it into your USB 3.0 computer, it's going to run at the slow speed, which works fine, but it will take about 10 times longer to do your backups. So I use a couple of different programs for this. Some of you might have been through this before. I used to do Karen's Replicator. She passed away long ago and her software is no longer supported. So if you have that program, it works even today. But we're going to use a different program today. It is free. The link to download the 2 software packages I'm talking about, it's in the back of your little handout there. So you don't have to worry about writing it down. But the first one is called Sync Back Free. I like the word free in there. That's awesome. But it works really good. And what it'll do is we're going to walk through it. We're going to set it up. And it'll be recorded on this video so you could watch it again. But the important thing that you remember is the difference in the backup style. Okay? There's a couple different ways of backing up. The one we're going to talk about is mirroring. What's a mirror? Well, if I had 1,000 pictures on my computer, and let's say I plugged in one of these little USB sticks, and it was empty, it was blank. If I plugged it in there and I copied, if I backed up, not mirror, but if I backed up my 1,000 pictures over to here, how many pictures are on here? 1,000, right? Okay. So today I put 20 more pictures on my computer, and I plug this in, and I back it up. I now have 1,020 pictures on here, don't I? Correct? Okay. Tomorrow, I go to my pictures and I realize half of them are duplicates. So I delete half of my pictures. Now I only have 510 pictures on my computer, right? If I back up my computer to this stick, I still have 1,020 on here. Because a backup just takes the new stuff and puts it over here. Well, there's nothing new, but the stuff that I deleted off of here, I didn't go delete off of here. So there's still way more junk on here. And what happens after years is it's almost too hard to find stuff because there's so much junk you didn't want in the first place. What a mirror does is instead of doing a backup, it's the same program, but you'll set it up as a mirror. If I add pictures to my computer, it will put them on here. If I delete pictures from my computer, it will find them on here and delete them. So this will be a mirror of the folder I am working on. Does that make sense? So the difference between a backup and a mirror is huge. And you would always want to do a mirror. Okay? All right. So this software is called Sync Back Free. And let's see. It's a little small. Can you guys even see that up there? Not so much. Let me try something. It might explode, but that's okay. There it is. Is that bigger and better? A little bit? Okay, can you see that a little bit? Yeah, that's better back there, isn't it? Yes.
Yes. Sync back free is for PCs only.
For PCs only. Yeah, that I'm aware of. Okay. But if you use that time machine on the Apple, it'll pretty much do what this is doing. It's pretty cool. So you could go download it from the link that's in there, and you just do your thing. You download it, and then you run it, and then magically, mystically, you've got sync back free on your computer, just like anything else that you would install on your computer. Okay. I recommend you only use those links that I gave you. If you go out and do a Google search to try to download something, all bets are off. You know, I can't control what the search brings back. So please, if you're going to do this, start with the links I'm putting in there, okay? All right. And once you install it and you open it, well, there's nothing in it. It's blank. See that? Okay. We're going to use, because, you know, it's all about me, we're going to use this right here, okay? Because we're not going to use these little $8 thumb drives. No, we're going to rebel. So if I went to my computer and we were looking at it, so you can see I got a C drive and a D drive. Are you familiar with this? On the Apple, it's the hard drive. It says the hard disk and usually a name. But if you have a Windows machine, it's usually the C drive, right? That's your main hard drive in your computer. I happen to have a second one in this one. It's called a D drive. Your CD-ROM might be called a D drive, but everything gets a letter. Are you familiar with that? Okay. So I'm going to plug this in, and we're going to watch the screen. And what you should see near my pointer there is, you should see, I think it was a G drive or something, but there'll be a couple extra letters show up. Right on cue. Da-da-da. If you look, I've got an F drive and I got a G drive. Okay. Normally you would only have one, but I have something weird in this one. So you see that I have a G drive down there. See that? So when I unplug it, I don't have a G drive. Okay? It's only there while you plug it in. The reason the letter is important is if it ever changes and if you notice it change, your backups won't work. Because they're going to be looking to put your stuff on the G. And if it happens to change to the I, yeah, that doesn't work. And you need to just call me quick. We can fix it. Okay. But that is true of any software, not just what I'm showing you here. Okay? So I got a drive and its letter is G, and if I double click on it, oh, there's some goofy folders on there. Most of the time, if you go buy one of these, they'll be blank, or there might be one or two things on them. You can pretty much just ignore the stuff that's on there. If you plug it into your computer and it wants to install a whole bunch of magic, awesome backup software, I would say no. Just not do it. Just cancel. Do not do that. It's going to be some 30 or 60-day software that you got to pay for or something. So the stuff I'm showing you is free and it works with every hard drive out there. So we got a drive and it's called the G drive. And are you familiar with looking up top here and this thing that says new folder? Familiar with that? Well, let's make a new folder. All you do is click on it and we're going to type in a name and we're going to call it, I don't know, sync back. How's that sound? See how? Can you see on the bottom there? Maybe you can't see that. I made a folder and I named it sync back. Okay? You can call it anything. Friday, Monday, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't make any difference. Point is, on my drive, letter G, I got a folder named sync back. And if you look up here, see that? Can you read that in the blue up there? Okay. So that's where we're going to put our stuff. We're going to put our documents right there. Okay? So we don't really need this anymore, but we need our sync back free program. Start down here. I'm going to go through this. I don't expect that you'll learn it. You could watch the video, but that would take a little extra time. And if you want a little extra later, you can hit me up. But I'm just going to walk through it and explain the steps as I go. So when you first click new, I got to make a job. Any backup software needs that. It needs some kind of job. You've got to tell it what to back up and where you're going to put it, right? It doesn't just magically know it. That's why I tell you to ignore that free software that you get with a hard drive. Because if it's going to go in and magically do everything, how do you know what it's doing? You don't know. But if I tell it, go do these things, I know what I told it to do. Okay? So we're going to give this thing, if you look, it says it's looking for a name. Well, we'll call this documents. So I'm going to call it documents. That's the name of this little job that we're doing. Next. This is where I kind of touched on this. You notice it says backup and there's a dot in it? You see that over there? The middle one is synchronize. We can go over that if you want to, or I'll just tell you, don't do that. Not going to hurt anything, but don't do that. But the bottom one is what we want. It's called mirror. Okay? So I'm just going to put a dot in it and say next. And then at this screen right here, you say done. Because it's just kind of giving you a quick overview. So I'm done giving the thing a name. This little screeny pops up here. You can just say okay. Or you could tell it, you know what, don't tell me that again, and say okay. And then it won't bring that screen up again. Now it's going to bring up a screen that's going to allow us to pick what we're going to back up and where we're going to put it. It's that simple. So, can you see, I'll move it up top. Can you guys see there's two little folders up there? They're blue and they're going yellow. You see that? So, in backup terms, they usually have these same terms. They're called source and destination. Source is source, what you're going to back up. Destination is where you're going to put it. So all you got to do is click the little folder. So I click that folder and I'm going to pick documents. So in your Windows PC, you see it over there? I clicked on documents. Okay. I'm going to say select folder. Okay. And on the destination, you see that up there? I'm going to click that and I'm going to go to my G drive. Can you see I'm picking the G drive? Okay. And I'm going to pick the folder that says sync back. And I'm going to say select. So now it's going to tell you some gibberish about what it's going to do and which folders it's going to copy. And you could look at that and read it. I'm sure there's a bonus prize if you read it. I don't know. But I'm just going to say okay. And it gives you a warning, just so you understand this. Your profile is configured to delete. My bad. Is configured to delete the stuff on your hard drive. It's just telling you, hey, are you sure you want to do a mirror? Does that make sense? And I'm telling you, yes, you do. You want to do a mirror. Because if you were doing a backup, you wouldn't get this error because it's never going to delete anything off of your hard drive. But this one will delete stuff off my little backup drive. Okay? So when you see that error, you can just click OK. It's not a big deal. Mine asks me, do I want to do a simulated run? I don't know. It's not that big of a backup. So I'm going to say no. I don't really care to simulate this. I'm going to also say don't prompt me again. So then what you see it's highlighted in blue up there? There's one job. I could repeat that for my pictures, my QuickBooks, my Quicken, any folder that I want to take a snapshot of, I could do. Does that make sense? But we only have one. That's really all that I care about. Down here on the bottom, there's a button that says Run. So I'm going to do that. You can see it's thinking, doing its thing. So then it's going to bring up a little screen just kind of to tell you, are you sure you want to do this? Let me move it a little so you can see that. So it's just kind of giving you a synopsis of what it's going to do. And then I'm just going to say go ahead, and this button says continue to run. See that right there? Okay. Now this seems like a lot of steps. Yes?
What happens if you're distracted and you don't hit that? Will it stay there and it won't complete the job until you do that?
That's a great question. The question is, what if I got that phone call? What if I answered it and walked away and I never hit continue? That would be sitting there until you come back. But the next part of this is, well, I'm not going to go through it, but I was going to touch on you can schedule these jobs. So as long as you've got this thingy plugged into your computer, which why wouldn't you? It would go take the documents every day at midnight and just copy them. Does that make sense? So for those of us who leave our computers on most of the time, I do. It just does it in the background. I never notice it. It just does this thing, and my backup runs, and I have my
Does it copy
documents.
over it?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna have multiple?
No.
Okay.
Okay. But that brings up a good question. So I got one documents folder, and it's making that many backups of it, right? One copy. I could make another job of this and put it into a Tuesday folder. Not just a sync back folder, but I could put it into a Tuesday folder. And if I called that job Documents Tuesday, and I ran that one, I would then have 2 copies on my hard drive. I'd have one from, it's Tuesday. Oh, bad example. But you'd have multiple copies. You can just make multiple jobs, and then you'd have more than one copy. Because what if you deleted something on your computer, you didn't notice it for a couple days, and you did a mirror? It's gone from your backup too. So that's a very good point. Having more than one backup's not a bad thing. Okay? So this is just going to do its thing, and it's going to run for, I don't know, 2 or 4 minutes or something. I can stop it. It's not a big deal. It's a test anyways. So the more stuff you've got and the bigger that it is, the longer it's going to take. Your pictures folder is going to take a lot longer than your documents folder. But once it's done, it's only going to copy the stuff that's changed. New and changed. Okay? So let's say this job took, it's red because I canceled it, but let's say it took 4 minutes to run. If I ran it again, it would take seconds because there's nothing different. Or even if I had a couple new documents, it would be that fast. Right? I really recommend this software. It's free. It's very easy to use. You can schedule it so it could take care of things for you. I don't do that on all mine. Like my laptop, I don't because it's not always running. So I just have manual jobs that I can just go click, run, and it just does it. Okay? Yes, Brian?
Paul, what you've just done now, did you back up your entire hard drive, everything,
Nope.
the data, the program?
Nope. That's the next step. Okay? So, thanks for the cue in, Brian. Appreciate that. This is only backing up my stuff, though. It's not backing up my Microsoft Word. Does that make sense? So if I open up Word, I was typing letters. If I type something in here, notice how fast I type. Look at that. Wow. So if I saved that and then I ran that backup, this document would be backed up. But Word itself would not be. So if my hard drive broke in this computer, or if I dropped the computer, it got stolen, I don't have the program. Okay? The next software we're going to talk about is a cloning software. It doesn't mean you're going to have more grandkids around or anything like that, but the difference between a backup and what they call a cloning process is when you run the clone, it's going to take longer depending on how big your hard drive is, because it's not just taking your pictures, your documents, your stuff. It's taking all your programs, so it's going to take longer to do. So it's not going to be a quick and dirty, just run the backup, that's done in 5 minutes, we can go. Nope. This is the one that you're going to do, and you're going to let it run overnight. Or you're going to go out in the lake and go do something and come back home later, and it'll be done in an hour or two. Okay? But this one is going to back up all your documents, all your pictures, everything on your computer, every icon on the desktop, everything. And it'll back it up to a special file on this little drive. Hopefully you'll never need it. But if this thing died, or you know what happens a lot? The hard drive doesn't go bad. It doesn't get a virus. But Windows does a big update, and it won't turn on anymore. Happens all the time. Unfortunately, folks will get where they're tired of watching it say it's doing an update and they pull the plug on it, and it gets corrupted and it just can't start anymore. Well, it's all gone. It's basically useless. Well, if we had done this process that we're going to go through, we'd be able to rebuild the whole computer back to yesterday or whenever we took the clone. Okay? That makes sense? So it's really a big deal because there's another big Microsoft update coming up next month, I think, or November, and I'm sure I'm going to get a few calls on that too. So, do you understand the difference between a document that you create in Word will get backed up during a backup or a mirror process? It will. But Word itself does not get backed up. Okay? You're comfortable with this software? It seems pretty easy to run. Okay? This video should be available, and you can download it from the link on your little PowerPoint if you're interested in trying it out. It's free. You can't lose. Okay? I am going to close it.
Where's the link?
It should be on the last page, I think.
Is it these links?
Yeah, it says bit.ly. The link is like 4 miles long. This bit.ly makes a short link for it. So if you just type that in, it'll...
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So if we go here,
Yep.
that it'll be in this,
This linky right there. So bit.ly/11. If you just type
that's the
that.
video, and
That's-
this is the program.
This is the sync back free, and the
Okay,
top one is the one we're going to go through now.
okay.
Yep.
And the video's included in?
The video is going to be on the Emily website at emily.net.
Okay,
That's where our videos are. If you want to maybe write that down, I probably should have put that in there.
that was my question, where was the videos?
I should have known. See, I'm a guy. You have to explain it 3 times. Come on. So the next one we're going to talk about is called Macrium Reflect. It's absolutely free for personal use. So you could go to the link on there and download it, and then you would install it, and you would have Macrium Reflect on your computer.
I have a question.
Yes.
You guys up at Cross Lake put something on mine that I back up to there,
Yep.
and I think it says Macrium,
Yep.
and it's red. Is that the same thing as you're showing me here?
Might have been an older version. Is it the icon red?
I think so.
Or is
I think
it
it says Macrium instead of Reflect.
Yeah, Macrium is the company.
But that's what I think
Yep.
it says in the...
In the little shortcut thingy?
Yeah.
It's probably this same program, maybe a little older version. As long as it's not red when you open up like computer, you don't see red on the drive. Like here. Oh, here, hang on. You don't see red in this.
No,
Okay, good.
no.
That would mean that little drive is full.
No, no.
Okay, yep.
no.
It's probably just a different icon or a different version
Yeah,
of.
it's probably 3-4 years ago.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So, in fact, mine's coming up telling me to upgrade. I'm using version 6, and there's version 7 available. So,
It's never told me.
yeah, we probably got your updates turned off. So, all right.
And you would have that to be doing the complete computer
Yep.
if these people install.
Yep, that's all we would use Macrium for. Macrium Reflect is a really, really good program. Don't expect that you know how to do this. This is, I wouldn't say complicated, but you want to get it right. It's your backup. What I do for most folks like Sue or anybody, if you call me or Dylan, we can remote into your computer and just get it set up. It'd take me less time to do that than it would trying to walk you through it on the phone. So if this is something you think you want, the software is free, and we're happy to help folks out with this. So we'd be happy to. So anyways,
And that's still just Windows?
Windows only. You wouldn't need it on an Apple because you could use Time Machine. Yep, Time Machine works. Basically, it's real similar to this. It does a real-time thing though.
Would it be wise for me to give Dylan a jingle and have him update mine if it's the old version?
That's a really good question. I would say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, that's my answer to that. But it wouldn't hurt to log in and just see if it's working.
Oh, I use it all the time.
Okay, then it's probably fine. I would say, ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, so we got this little black hard drive. It's 2 terabytes, which you now know is 2,000 gigabytes. You can impress your grandkids with that, I'm telling you, man. It'll be like amazing. I have opened up a piece of software that is free. It's called Macrium Reflect. It's not the easiest thing in the world to run, but once you run it, learn it, it's not really hard either. But I'm not expecting that you learn it sitting right here in this class, okay? So I'm going to click on the hard drive. If you notice, can you see my mouse pointer back there? Yeah. This one down here says G. Well, the software knows I got a hard drive plugged in. That's not the one I want to back up, though. That's the one I want to back up to. So this is my destination drive. Does that make sense? It is not my source drive. So if you look up here on the top, see that one right there says C? See that? Then you know it's your main hard drive. It's always going to be the top one anyways. But the top one, if I click on this and I say image this disk, see that right there? I'm going to put it to the, probably can't see that. You see how it says G colon right there? That's the letter of our magic little hard drive, right? Okay. And you can just say next, but I do this. I uncheck that box and I type a name in there. Otherwise, it gives you some really long gibberish name of your backup, and I have no idea what it is. This laptop is an Asus. So I'm going to say Asus laptop. That way the file that shows up on here is going to say Asus laptop. So when I look at it 6 months from now, I'll be like, what's that? I know what it is. You just say next. You don't have to do any of this stuff. You can just say next, and you can just say finish. And then you can answer this question. Do you want to run this backup or save this backup or both? Right now, we're just going to run it. I don't care to save it. I just want to run it. That's all it took. That's it. Now if I say okay, that's it, we're done. Walk away for as long as it takes. The whole computer and all the programs, every icon on the desktop, everything backed up and could be rebuilt in literally half an hour. Took me longer than that to find my Microsoft Word disk. I don't even know where it is. Yes.
Often would you run this?
Good question. How often would I do this? I do this once a month. Once a month. Okay. Another question I get a lot is, well, how many of them would you keep? Well, I like to keep at least 2. You know, when it comes up, I like 2 of them because what if one of these broke? You know, why would you not? This 2,000 gigabyte or 2 terabyte hard drive will hold a lot of copies of this laptop. I could probably do this clone or replication process 20 times without filling that hard drive. So I would keep 2 to 3 copies. Yes, Brian?
Can we back up 2 separate computers on one of those USB hard drives?
It's a great question. Did you hear it?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. There's nothing that ties this hard drive to the Macrium Reflect or that sync back free. Nothing. If you take this hard drive, plug it into Sue's computer, and you make a hard drive folder called Sue, and you make a hard drive folder called Brian, you would set your backups to go to the Brian folder, and you'd set her backups to go to the Sue folder. You don't have to do that, but I'd recommend it be easier.
Would you want everything on that one?
That's a good question, too. Do you want everything on the one drive? As cheap as these are, I got 2 of them. Yeah, and I plug the next one in next month, and as long as it comes up as the G drive, it'll work just fine. It won't know the difference. As long as you make the Sue folder and the Brian folder, it won't make a difference. Okay? So this is going to take, I think it's usually pretty close. Once it gets settled, when it first starts, it might say 40 hours, but it'll really quickly chip down. I would bet it's going to be about an hour. And this whole computer, everything is backed up. Part of that is because of what I told you about making sure you get a USB 3.0 hard drive. Now, it doesn't help if your computer is, let's say, 6 years old. It may not have a USB 3.0 port. But one of my laptops, when I look at them, the 2 ports on this side are black. The 2 ports on this side are blue. If you see that, you want to use the blue ones. Does that make sense? Because if we weren't using USB 3, if this was a older style or a cheaper hard drive and it was USB 2, that would probably say 8 hours, and it would mean it. It would absolutely take 8 hours. Because we are backing up a tremendous amount of stuff right now. Okay? All right.
What kind is that?
This one happens to be a Western Digital. The two big ones are Seagate and Western Digital, but Toshiba, there's tons of them out there. And if someone wants you to buy an extended warranty on it, the answer is no. Okay, the drive was $40. If it breaks, I'll buy another one. So, okay, bless their heart. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this, but all you'd have to do is walk away, and that's it. You could also, if you were going to keep doing this, see this little drop down right where my mouse is? Can you guys see that? Right there? Okay. If I pull that down, it gives me some options. And it says upon completion, shut down, hibernate, suspend, or do nothing. Well, it's on no shutdown. It's on do nothing. But if I said shut down, when this job finished, it would turn off the computer for me. Sweet, huh? Okay. Now, you can do a lot more with this. Instead of running this job one time, you could set it up, save it as a job, and then next time you can just run it. You don't have to go through setting it up. You can also take that job and schedule it. Every Friday at 7 o'clock. The only problem with scheduling backups on a personal computer is it on? So did the schedule help you any? No. But a lot of people do leave their computers on. Asleep doesn't count, so if you put it to sleep, it won't back up. But I leave mine on because I need to get into it all the time for work. I got stuff there, I got stuff here, so mine's always running. So for me, it's okay to run this in the middle of the night. For most people, I would say you wouldn't schedule it. You would make a job and you would save it, and then just go run that job. You want to see how to do that? Okay, we're on a roll. So I'm going to cancel.
Will that just overwrite it, or will it
It's a great
do
question.
a whole new one?
Yes and no. Yes or no. Both. The thing is, it depends on how you set the job up. If I went back and did this exact same thing, it would overwrite it. But if you set the job up, it's going to ask you how many should I keep. Do you remember what I named it? I called it ASUS laptop. It would make ASUS laptop 1. The next time I ran it, it would make ASUS laptop 2, and then 3. And then the fourth time I run it, it would delete the oldest one and make a new one. So the answer is yes, no, maybe, depending on what you want. Okay? All right, so I canceled it. So if I made a job, I would have what they would call a backup file. It's called a definition, sometimes called a job file or a task. Okay? Well, I don't have any. I didn't make any. I didn't tell it to save one. So if I go back to my create a backup folder and see how I say image this disk, okay, we're going to go through the same steps. We're going to put it on the G drive. We're going to give it a name, ASUS laptop. I'm going to say next. Now, I just skipped through all this nonsense before. I just went and ran a backup. You can do that. That's fine. But you can also tell it a few things like, I want to only do a full backup, and I want to keep 3 copies. See what I did there? There's a checkbox in full, and I changed it to 3. Okay. Then I'm going to say next. And then I'm going to say finish. And this time, I'm not going to run the job. I'm going to uncheck that, because I don't want it to start right now. That's the kind of guy I am. But I am going to leave that second one checked that says save the backup job. See it? I'm going to say OK. Then it's going to ask me for, I have some different options now. When I go into the backup definition menu here, there's one in here. You see that? See it? I don't know if you can read it, but I should have been able to give it a name. I must have skipped that. I must have pressed enter twice. But it says my backup. If I right click on that, I got a whole bunch of options. One of them I can do is I could run it right now. I could just run it. I don't have to go through any of that stuff. It's already created. Just run the job, walk away. One of the big things I do, which is probably what we did for you, Sue, is I say create a shortcut on the desktop. Okay? Doesn't look like anything happened, but if I close this, can you guys see that up there? Can you read it up top? See what it says? It says my backup. If I double click on it, it's going to come up, probably ask me for administrative privileges. You say yes. And then that's it. That's all you got to do. It will now go run that job that we created. It will, I'm going to hit cancel here because we don't really care. It will take my whole computer, assemble everything, throw it into ASUS laptop number 1 on this hard drive. If I ran it again right after that, it would make number 2 and number 3. And if I ran it again, it would delete one of them and create another one. That's all. I know that seems like a lot of steps, but it can be set up pretty easy. And if you got a shortcut on the desktop, what you do is you keep this hard drive in the safe somewhere, okay? On Friday night or whenever you decide you're going to do a full backup, you plug the hard drive in. You wait 30 seconds. I used to say a minute, but computers are faster. You wait, don't do nothing, just wait. Play the Jeopardy theme if you got to. Wait 30 seconds. And then you double click on your shortcut. What happens is it takes a little while for this thing to become available. It's got to spin up, and do its thing. So if you just plug it in and run that shortcut, it might not find it. It might say, I can't find the hard drive. What's going on? But if you give it 30 seconds, it'll know that the hard drive is there. And it'll come up. Okay? Then you could do this. And then you could make copies all you want to. So on a 2 terabyte or 2,000 gigabyte hard drive, like I said, I could back up this computer 20 times. Or you could back up 4 computers 5 times. Whatever you want. You don't need one hard drive for every computer. Good point. Anybody got any questions? I suppose I should finish the PowerPoint too. I probably missed some things. Yes, Sue?
Can you use the same thing to back up like a phone?
No. Question was, can this software back up your phone? No. But my phone is a Samsung. Okay. I can back up my phone to my computer, which is what we do. And then in essence, all the pictures that are on my phone are then backed up to my computer, which are then backed up to this hard drive. So kind of, sort of.
Okay, but how do you back up your phone to your computer?
Okay. If you have a Samsung, it's not too hard. You can plug mine happens to be the new style USB-C pluggy plug, and the other end is the regular USB plug. I can plug it in Samsung you can get some software to put on your computer that'll back it up.
How about an iPhone?
iPhone, as long as you have an iCloud account, and most likely you do, when you set your phone up, you almost assuredly set up an account, it's backing it up to your account. So if you lost your phone, you'd be able to get it back. The only thing is you only have a certain amount of storage on that. So if you got a new phone with 64 gigabytes and you got a 5 gigabyte cloud account, you're not going to get it all. So I would recommend, I always back my phones up to my computer.
So how do you back up the iPhone to the computer?
The iPhone you would have to do through iTunes, and frankly I don't know how to do that. It's dependent on the phone. My Samsung, I'm able to just get an app for my computer, and I can just basically, it looks just like that. And I go grab my phone, it takes all my stuff and brings it right into my computer. It's a Samsung app that we got.
So it's only with Samsung?
That's the one that I have. I don't know what phone do you have?
LG.
LG is Android based. Yeah, there's all kinds of Android based backup software. There's tons of it. If you set your phone up with a Gmail account, most of your stuff is backed up. It's kind of like an Apple. They give you like 15 gigs. So if you had a Gmail account when you set your phone up, you've got a lot of stuff backed up.
Have your contacts too, or all
Yes.
your contacts are saved in.
Yep, as long as it's set up with an Apple account with their iCloud or an Android phone with some type of backup system or Gmail account. I still plug my phone into here and back it up. Because I take videos with this thing where we're out and we have job sites and things, and pictures are great, but when you need to go to a contractor and go, no, this is in the wrong place. It's got to be over here. Just taking a video and talking to it, I can just give that to the contractor, and it just cuts so much time out. Well, those videos are big. You can't email them. So I can plug them into my computer and bring them into my computer. Okay. I don't actually have the cable, or else I would... No, I have one in the car, but we don't have time for that. So someone asked me, do I got to go out and get Macrim Reflect? Do I got to use Sync Back Free? Absolutely not. Everybody running Windows 10 in here pretty much? 8, 7? Okay. Windows 7 started something, it's a backup software. If you just type backup in Windows 7, it's great. Works really good. It's not as good as Macrim Reflect in a couple ways. Macrim Reflect gives you a few more options. I still recommend use Macrim Reflect. But it used to be that in Windows 8.1, because they can't keep everything the same, it had to be 7 and then 8 and then 8.1 and then 10, because that makes so much sense, right? What happened is in 8.1 they took out that backup software. Nobody knows why. They just got rid of it. It was crazy. They have now put it back in. So if you have Windows 7, 8, 8.1 or 10 and you just click the start button and say backup, the Windows backup software does come up and it does work. It's pretty good. It's not bad. So in a pinch, I'd use it. There is another thing called file history. Just going to touch on it. If I have this hard drive always plugged into my computer. Now that means it's probably not a laptop, because you're not running around with a laptop and a hard drive plugged into it. But your home computer, if you've got one of these and you just leave it plugged in so you can back stuff up, you can also do what's called file history. And if you just hit the start button down in the lower left and you just type file history, it will come up. It's probably too low, but there it is. You see where it says file history up top? Right up here. Okay. If you open that up and you just go through the steps, it'll pick the default folders that you most likely need, which is your documents, pictures, videos. You can add folders, but it's pretty easy. But I'm using this on my work computer. What it does is when I type a copy of a document, I start typing, it saves it. And it saves the one tomorrow. And it saves it. Keeps as far back as you tell it to go. 6 months, 2 years. It will keep dozens and dozens and dozens of copies of your file. So if you had a file in your documents folder and you deleted it, it would be there. It's a really good way. Also, if you ever typed a letter and you don't remember what you said the last time and you can't find it, they're all in there. So file history is something I just wanted to touch on because we're way over the hour. I'm sorry about that, but it's me, I babble. But file history on a Windows computer is really cool. All you got to do is click on the start button, type in file history, and just kind of walk through the bouncing balls and you'll see it. Haven't bored you to tears yet. What it does is kind of amazing. I had a file I couldn't find, and I actually forgot I had this. It was just last week. I was like, where did I put that drawing? I had scanned it on the big scanner, threw it on my desktop. This is called your desktop, where all your icons are. I had scanned it and put it there. Well, I had deleted it, and I was like, And then I remembered I had this file history turned on. So I went to the little hard drive, and I just went through the folders, and boop, there it was. Just grabbed it, had it. So maybe not a good solution for everybody, but I'll tell you, it's not a bad one. And really, all you do is you'll see this window, and the middle button says Configure File History. Click on that, and it's going to do most everything for you. It's going to find some folders that you want to use. You could add documents, pictures, whatever. If you walk through the steps, it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay? I've got my file history turned off on this computer, but you'd see it. Definitely something to check out. Anybody have any questions? I have no idea if I covered everything in the PowerPoint, but let's see if I did. Other systems. Okay, we talked about Mac and Time Machine. And I do still prefer Macrium Reflect over the built-in Windows backup. I really do. It's a very good solution. So, I don't have time to format a machine. Yes, Brian?
I have two questions. Number one, is that file history on by default? We don't know if that's on our machine.
It is off by default.
Off by default?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Second question is, I bought a USB backup similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Seagate came with a software called Toolkit.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
I have.
Is that similar to Macrium Reflect?
It is not on mine. It is a toolkit that I can go in and look at the drive and do some utilities on it, but I wouldn't rely on that software. Okay? On my Seagate, it's tied. I have to have a Seagate hard drive to make it work. What if I wanted to use my Western Digital? Their software doesn't work with it. That's how mine is. So I strongly recommend that you look into the Macrium Reflect. It's really good stuff. You can't beat the price. Okay, you got the download links. And, they're a little close together, but the download link is from here over. It's not the Macrium Reflect thing. I should have had more space in between them. Okay? All right. And now, first off, anybody got any questions? Okay. What we used to do in this class is I'd have a computer sitting here, and I'd plug it into the projector, and I would have it running, Windows, and then I would erase the hard drive. I can do that in one command. Hard drive's gone. So then I'd turn the computer back on, and it would just sit there blinking. What do we do? Well, what we did in that class is we plug in this hard drive, plug in one of these because they're good for that, and I boot the computer to this stick and I rebuild it, and literally within 10 minutes, we turn the computer back on and it's right back where it was. Lost nothing. It's amazing. It is amazing. So if your computer is valuable, you should look into some of this stuff. Okay. Anybody have any ideas for other seminars? People brought up some really good points over the years. If you got any ideas, maybe shoot Deb or myself an email if you think of something. You want to know how to do something. I know one, how to transfer stuff off your phone to your computer. I got to do that. Bring your phone, we'll figure it out. How's that? That'll be the title. Bring your phone, we'll figure it out. So if you shoot me the model of your phone, Samsung, whatever the model is, mine's a Galaxy S8. So if you find whatever yours is and just email me, maybe I can find something that, you could look at and go, here's how to do it.
I have the iPhone, not the Samsung.
You have the, okay. Is it the iPhone 5S or the iPhone?
It's the 5S, but I'm gonna be buying a new one real soon, so when I buy one, I'll probably ask them.
Yes. Yep. But if you've got the iPhone, as long as they can verify that all your stuff is okay in your iCloud account, if you're going there anyways, they can do that. I just worry that you don't have enough storage, that you can't do it all.
Yeah, mine, it's a 5 or a 5S, and that's getting pretty old.
Yep.
It do a flashing thing we never do.
Plus, all the cool kids have new ones. You gotta have a new one. So, I guess you're free to go. You can appreciate you coming. It's great seeing you guys again. Yeah, nice seeing you. Thank you. Thank you.